Week in review, April 28th, 2025. High left, missed again. All right, let's jump into this. So this weekend on Saturday, I competed in the Ruck Race League online competition, and it was as far as you can go in 20 minutes. I'm sorry, in 1 hour with 20% of your body weight. So it ended up being 39 pounds of ruck weight. I ended up weighing at 197. I was actually surprised. I have not stepped on a scale in probably 7 or 8 years. I think the last time I stepped on a scale was 2017. And at the time, my wife said, "Hey, you're obsessed with the scale. You step on it multiple times a day, every day." And so I decided at that point not to step on a scale again until Saturday. And I know I'm not as fit as I typically am, or in as lean as I typically can be, or um, want to be right now. Um, so I knew I'd be a little heavier. I thought maybe low 190s. I like to, I think I like to be around 185 typically, but 197, and so which led to a 39-pound ruck. And I then pretty much when you're looking at the scores on the leaderboard, it looks like 10K is kind of like, which would be 6.2 miles in an hour, a good benchmark. I used to be really good at rucking. I used to ruck all the time. And so I thought, okay, the 10K target should be my goal. But once I realized I had to use a 39-pound pack, I thought maybe that's not possible. I went out there and started off pretty quick. I started off in the first mile was like an 850 something pace. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it and hang on for as long as I can and see what happens. At the halfway point, I was already at 3.2 miles. So at 30 minutes, I had passed 3.2 miles and was pretty much confident I could get over the 10K mark. Then I was just gradually slowing down because I didn't pace. I didn't start off at a pace I could maintain. I started off at a fast pace and slowly lost that pace and eventually finished with 10,040 meters. So I met the 10K pace and was 40 meters over. So really fun if you guys want a challenge. I think there's a couple more days left. I'm considering giving it a redo maybe on Wednesday because I think that's the last day. Pretty beat up from it, but I don't know. If you look at some of the scores people are posting, it's insane. I think someone just posted 14,000 meters, which is really far to go with 20% of your body weight in an hour. So good challenge. Check it out if you're looking for something to do. Oh, also they might have their finals at the games. So we're working with them. It's a series of events. They introduce a monthly event. I'll drop a link into their website, and they have a series of events. And I think they're doing something at the games. They're working with our team. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe their final or an option to do their final at the game. So keep that in mind. On that note, Community Cup is coming up. So I just left this screen. Hold on, let me get back. Community Cup, the registration will start soon, and then in June it kicks off. So really excited about that. Definitely stay tuned for more information on that. Next, I want to talk about the running and the team open, the team qualifier. That's obviously got a lot of attention. A lot of people left comments on the comments of last week's week in review. So why did we do it? And a lot of people are talking about the cheating of it. Well, first of all, running is a part of CrossFit. It's a significant part of CrossFit. Obviously, it's a significant part of the games. You run a lot in the games. In the in-person events, it's seen a lot. In the online events, we really haven't cracked the code for how to include running, other than shuttle runs, which I'm okay with, but experimenting with this was key in the development of the sport. And notice I say experimenting with this, because that's kind of what this was. Let's try this out and let's test this. But let me even back up one step here. In 2020, for the COVID games, for stage one of the COVID games, we actually had them run there. That was a little different because it was a really limited field, whatever it was, 20 or 30. And then it also, we sent a judge out. So we had way more control over it. That was the only time in one of our online stages we included running. Here, that I can remember. Here, now we're including it, as I referenced, as an experiment with the teams. And here's why I say that. So the age group qualifier had about 2,500 people sign up. Individuals will have less than that, probably half of that. The teams only have about 150 teams signing up. So it's a very small group of people that are actually even doing it. So it makes it a good group to do this with. Also, my thoughts behind it. So with the cheating stuff, we are empowering the affiliate, we are empowering the team, we are empowering the judge, we are empowering a lot of people to do the right thing. And fundamentally, I believe and I think they will. Now, there is a scenario where all 4 members of the team, the judge, and the head judge, 6 people, can all cheat. And they can all say, hey, we're going to shorten the distance by 50 meters, by 50 yards, by 20, by 5 yards. And I just like to believe and have a little hope that across 6 people in our community, that will not be the case. I could easily be proven wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised if I am, but I am putting hope in the affiliates and in the community that they are going to do the right thing. So we have 2 judges, then you have these 4 athletes. All of them have to fundamentally acknowledge and verify the distance. Also, this is something that's written in the description for that event. Tape cones or other objects to mark the 800-meter run. Note, teams hoping to qualify for the CrossFit Games must have video evidence of their run course available on request. Failure to provide video on request may result in disqualification. Evidence must be photos and or screenshots of a GPS tracking device that shows the run course. It must include distances in feet or meters and an uncut video of the course being measured. Must show distance at the beginning and end of the run course. The photos and videos do not need to be submitted at the time of score submission, but CrossFit may request proof as needed. And let me circle back to one line in there. Failure to provide video on request may result in disqualification. And let me go back one line further. Teams hoping to qualify for the CrossFit Games must have video evidence of their run course available on request. So, all the other things I said about the 4 judges, or the 2 judges, the 4 athletes all being honest, there's also that's clearly in the rulebook. And you can imagine there's an outcome where we do ask qualifying teams for their videos. And here, I'm going to say it now. Failure to provide video on request may result in disqualification. If we are to ask a team and they don't provide video on request, they will likely be disqualified. So even with this experiment of including running in this competition and assuming everybody's going to be honest, there's still a backstop. There's still something to cover where we're going to check and essentially validate and say, prove the concept and stand behind this as a good idea to integrate into this stage of competition. Do I think teams will still, let me say this, do I think we will include this in other divisions? Well, I'm not going to speak to the individual division right now because I don't want to say if we are or not, but going forward in the open, probably not. Where there's large groups of people, probably not. But I'm really happy that we included it here, and I like how we're executing on it. So I'm excited about it, and I really think the community and a large number of people who played should, or probably are too, but there was a lot of noise around it. So been also this week spent a lot of time programming and working on the games. Been working on them for really in-depth month and a half, couple months now, and got a couple good sessions in this weekend, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. Just really actually even on Friday, tested an event, had an individual test the first event of the games, and it played out really well. I like what I saw, so I'm moving in that direction. about 75% of the workouts are all penciled in, maybe even 80%. And I need to move into the testing phase a little right now, a little heavier to tweak them. I like what I see. It's interesting because I'm also part of the programming of the events, also is at the same time a real deep dive into the schedule. And so with the schedule, uh, in the past, last year, we had 40 men, 40 women, and I think we did 30 teams last year. Let's just say we did do 30 teams, 30 teams. This year, we reduced the field to 30 men, 30 women, and 20 teams. So you look at getting, and a typical floor at the CrossFit Games is 10 lanes wide. So that's the functional aspect of it. You look at 40 men, 40 women, 30 teams. That's 8, 9, 10. That's 11 heats. That's 11 heats to get all those athletes through essentially one workout. And then 2 or 3, let's say 2 for the sake of simplicity throughout the day. That's 22 heats. Now you look at with the reduced field, 3, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 heats to get all the athletes through a single workout. 2 workouts at 16. So 22 to get 3. So 33 to get 3 workouts done with last year's field, 33 heats. This year's field, 24. So huge difference. Big reduction in number of heats we'll have to do. So that gives me a lot of flexibility with the programming and with the schedule. And so therefore, where I'm leaning towards right now, and this isn't an official statement, but this will probably be the case, we are not going to have cuts at the games this year. So because there's so much room in the schedule, I think all 30 and all 20 at this point, it's looking like we'll advance through all workouts through the entire weekend. So there's always a lot of people. The cuts go in every direction. Some people love them, some people hate them. But I think this year we're going to experiment with getting all 30 individuals through all the workouts and all 20 teams through the workouts. So let's jump into some comments. At TSTEDE27, sir, much respect. Just curious if you have any updates on volunteering at the games this year. So the volunteering is open. I'll drop the link in this video description, and the selections will be done by June 8th. So you can volunteer to the games. At Jesse Resmine, you don't have to increase the percentage of people who make it to semis unless it's a money thing. It's not a money thing. I think increasing the number of people who make it to the semis is about the enthusiasm and number of people who want to advance. We definitely had a lot of criticism for how small it was. I don't think it'll go back to 25% because of the Community Cup, but I think we could play with increasing it. Isn't that what the Community Cup is for? That's what I just said. It has been my goal to make regionals forever, and I finally made semifinals this year, 6 months postpartum. Congratulations. It means more because of how hard it was to make it. It's not the same when the top 5, 10% to make it. Okay, great point. I agree with you. I appreciate this feedback. The top 1% and 10% are completely different levels, and most people in that 3 to 10% won't do semifinals anyways. 1%, 1,200 is still a ton of people. People lower than that are most likely not making it to the games, and that only add to the video review mess. It's frustrating for higher level athletes when cutoffs get watered down. I will probably get a lot of slack for this, but I am betting many feel the same way. It's funny because the arguments you're making, which I do fundamentally agree with, are a lot of the reasons why we went this route, especially with the Community Cup. You're describing what I believe why it should be smaller. When I say potentially increasing, I'm not talking about increasing to 10 or 15, definitely not 25%, maybe to 2 or 3%. But I do agree with you on a lot of these points. Thanks for that. At Tommy Woodham, when will the Echo Bike appear in online stages? Another great question. So we actually had a discussion with the Athlete Council this year on including Echo Bikes in some of these stages. This was early on. They advised against it. They said giving, I think it was a year, I have to go back and look at exactly what they said, more heads up notice would be appropriate. I think if we announced right now that next year we're including the Echo Bike in these stages, that would be fine. I think if we announced that we were including them in the Open, people would be really upset. Maybe the Open needs a longer tail with that. At Autistic Hiller, Knowing what you know about judging changes and how they've played out, is there any early takeaways already learned that you would like to change, implement in the future for the standards regarding number of judges, quals required, or rules? We're still processing. There's some thoughts, but we're still looking at every stage and see how everything's going. We still have teams we're going through, then we have individuals, so there's still a lot of lessons to learn. At Makina Strength, Dave, here's an idea for judging. I love the online option for anyone who wants to review videos. The next step should be a limit on how many votes reviews a video can get. That way you reach more potential videos to get reviewed. That's interesting. I like that. You can also give online judges an incentive, say 25% off next year open registration if they judge 25 videos or more. Also a good idea. Something else we're implementing, we are going to have a comment field where a comment is going to be required for you to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. So basically you have to say why, or the thumbs down. Actually, I don't know if it works for the thumbs up, but definitely for the thumbs down, you have to say why you're giving a thumbs down. At TS Teddy 27, have you ever considered programming a variant of any of the military fitness tests? Yeah, kind of. Actually, the Army is a sponsor of the games this year, and they're going to be running their. I don't know if we've announced this yet. I don't think we have, but I'll give you a little hint. They're planning on running the ACFT at the games this year, which is pretty cool. So as a spectator, you can go do the complete Army fitness test, which is like it has a deadlift, it has a cool like little chipper thing, plank hold. What else do you do? I should know this. Deadlifts on a trap bar. I did know this a while ago. And there's a run. I think it's 1.5 or 2 mile run. But it's a pretty cool thing that you can do at the games this year. So come out to the games and do the ACFT. At Jeremiah, you seem different than when I met you at the ranch in 2008 or 2009. You appear more down to earth with genuine humility. Any chance you're now a Christian? Serious question. So 2008, 2009, that's like almost 20 years ago, less 15 years ago. I imagine you are very different than in 2008 or 2009. I think I am different, and I think it's natural for everyone to be very different after 10, 15, 20 years of life and everything that we all go through. In that time, I was definitely in a different phase in my life. I was active duty military, and I was doing the CrossFit thing. So when you met me, and I had just left, still very close to when I was deploying and doing stuff like that. So I definitely don't have that edge. But I think that statement is true for anyone 15 years after a given period. They are different. And if you're not different, I would say something's wrong. So I am different, and that's also, I believe I'm different, and that's also good and okay. Dave, I'm sorry that Hiller never made a highlight reel of your good routes at Tyson. I believe you. Yeah, that's fucked up. I think it is fucked up of Hiller to not have done that, but whatever. And I'm not going to forget that. At John Nixon 2504, was it Boulder Pistol or Staccato Vegas, formerly Prairie Fire, formerly Front Site? It was Staccato Vegas. That's where I was last week. At Cole 1442, Dave, glad to hear you're looking at Kale's open scores, especially since he earned money from it. Actually, I don't think he did, because I don't think he was fourth. I don't think he got any money from the Open. I'll look into that. Also, what do you think about Rich possibly becoming CEO of CrossFit? Apparently, that's a legitimate possibility from what I've heard through media. There's a million possibilities that are a legit possibility right now as CrossFit's going through a sales process. There is 100 different directions this can go. At this point, I'm not focusing on any of those directions. I'm just head down, working specifically a lot on the games and all the other things that I have in regards to seminars and all the other teams I'm working with and work closely with at CrossFit. So not worrying myself with hypotheticals at this moment. All right, that's the week in review. Thanks a lot.